loved him. Quite fascinating.
Wow, that is fascinating. Those were treacherous times back then, for sure, with us competing in everything. It seemed,
Right.
everything turned into a competition with Russia for which country would be the best. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
And Mark, you're muted.
Hey, sports fans, we are live on Facebook, and I will start the recording, and then Karen can introduce our speaker, our guest. Got it? Okay, Karen, you're up.
Hi, everybody. I am so privileged and honored and thrilled and happy and joyful to introduce Rex Basham, who is a longtime friend of Mark and mine. He's a longtime Aber, and he's the kind of person that if I ever get in a quandary and I wonder about something Abrahamic or just something in life in general, I think, what would Rex say in this situation? What would Rex do? Because he is so focused on the Abe perspective, and he has really woven it into his life. And then a few years back, he started writing a book about some ways of making the Abraham perspective even more tenable and available and easy to apply. And Mark and I got to be part of seeing that evolve, because he would bring to our Abraham meetings here at our house that we had before COVID, he would often bring handouts, and that would include some of the latest writings that he had done. And he would hand that out, and those of us who were here, it's always been a small group, we would read and give feedback, and then use those handouts during the next month until we saw Rex again, and maybe give him a little feedback. And so anyhow, we just go back a lot of years, and we just treasure Rex's personality and personage and his knowledge in every way. And so with that introduction, I will turn it over to Rex, and feel free to share as you feel inspired, Rex. And did you want to take questions as you speak, or would you like people to hold that till the end?
I think it's real time. It's what's happening in the now. So absolutely, if you have a question, blurt it out.
Okay, we'll blurt.
Yeah,
we can blurt. Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Shall I proceed?
Yeah.
You're on.
Okay.
You're in charge. You get to make all the rules.
Oh, wow. Oh, then what do I really want if I'm really in charge?
Or decide you don't want any rules, whatever.
Okay.
Welcome to Rochelle. We just had another person join us, whom we also love, and she's also in Florida.
Okay. I'll give her a moment.
Okay.
Well, maybe we'll see. Hopefully she'll come on soon, but I'll go ahead and proceed. Anyway, that is the book that I wrote. It's called Grow Your Happiness, How 10 Minutes a Day Can Help You Feel Better and Better in Life. And it's an interesting thought of what we think about 10 minutes per day. What is the power of 10 minutes a day? I think it's a very interesting question. What could we do to raise our vibration in 10 minutes, especially considering our lives can be, frankly, sometimes crazily different day by day, our moods can be all over the place. And given a 10-minute slot, what could we do to help ourselves just move to more joy? So anyway, so that's what we're going to explore today. And this is an idea book. And even beyond this book, today I'm going to give you not only ideas from the book, but I'm going to go beyond that. So really looking for any kinds of ideas that connect with you. Okay, so let me start with the introduction, which kind of gives you a background of the book. I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to just kind of, it does walk through how this book came about. And I'll kind of summarize it. So I had accumulated a number of tools, practicing tools over many years, and they were often really helpful. And at some point, I got to the point where I thought, it feels like my use of these practicing tools, it feels a little bit random. They help here, they help there, but sometimes it's hard to know. Like, let's say you were given a 10-minute slot. What would you do? How would you find new things to think about? How would you find new, better energies on a day-to-day basis? What are you in the mood to do that day? And I thought it would be really nice to have something a little more organized as far as a daily practicing session. So it turns out about 3 years ago, the summer of 2018, I had an idea about how I might do just that, and it's actually a pretty simple process. I had accumulated a number of tools that were more general in nature, and I thought, that often feels less resistant. So what kind of tools might I be talking about? Well, we know, some of them are the obvious ones that we've often talked about. List some positive aspects of your current situation, or some area where you're struggling, rather than trying to fix what's broken. What are the feelings I do want? A third idea might be, imagine yourself feeling good in some area a week or a month from now, just very generally feeling good in that area. Okay, that's very general. That's good. Another might be, picture who you really are, and now picture yourself being that person more and more in the area of some topic in your life. So you take some topic, you kind of have it in your vibration, your typical thoughts about that topic, and you bring in, okay, the real me. Now, what if I was truly, fully the real me with that topic? What would that be like? And you just kind of imagine the real you in that area of life. Okay, so the idea I came up with, I wanted something that's very lightweight. So what if I were to practice 2 minutes for a given topic? I started out with, okay, a given topic. Abraham has this idea of get in, feel as good as you can, get out. So what if I practice better feelings for a topic for 2 minutes? 2 minutes, 2 minutes a day. And then I thought, and what if I did that for 5 topics in my life? Because that way I'm not trying to put any pressure on one topic area. I'm just kind of bringing in better feelings for 5 topics in my life every day. So it's really a 2 minute times 5 session. So the next question is, well, what would I practice during these 2 minutes for each of the topics? And that's where I started to hone down some of the tools I had accumulated into segments that could be done in the 2 minutes. Okay. I thought it would be worth trying. So I tried it. I found a timer that would go off every 2 minutes. I had gathered some tools, and when the little ding went off after 2 minutes, pretty much, well, let me put it this way. And this is something I recommend anyway. If I was just going and going with some topic and being thrilled, I would not move on. In other words, if it got into minute 3, 4, 5 for that given topic, go for it. Abraham says, when you got hold of a good feeling, milk it, go for it. So it was a very intentionally based on my feelings. And I am such a strong believer in that. And I've been a practicer for many, many years. And that is one of, almost really the number one rule is anything you're going to sit down and focus on, you have to connect to it. And if you're in a lousy mood, that's not a good time to practice. And so that factors in, of course. So I gathered these tools and I started my practice. 10 minutes a day, I had my tools. How is it going to go? So, and now I'm actually quoting from the introduction. Initially, I didn't think much about the 10-minute sessions other than to make sure I did the session each evening. But within a few days, I noticed that I felt better in general, and in particular, felt better in the 5 areas in which I had been focusing. I was surprised by how much this very little bit of daily practicing started to positively, almost like infiltrate my thoughts. It was as if I was simply getting more and more used to better feelings in those topic areas and in general. And this was happening by simply practicing better feelings for 10 focused minutes per day. Over the next few weeks, I started feeling a growing sense of power and confidence. In fact, I realized that this daily practice was, and I say, dare I say, changing my life. And as I was simply focusing on the feelings I wanted, instead of trying to fix the problem areas, I found the not so good feeling stuff kind of fading more in my life. So this was obviously very exciting. So after I used the same 5 topics day after day. So after a couple of weeks, I started to switch out some other topics in my life. Now, let me also mention that the topics I picked were not the worst topics in my life. They were either great topics or middling. Some were middling to great topics. I didn't try to address the very worst feeling places in my life in this practicing. So to me, that was a good place to start. As Abraham says, why not start with easy? And there's such a lesson that, and I often find myself saying, I would really more often in my life like to take the easy route. I just think that's a great, and I didn't always do that, but I try to do it now. Okay, so I switched out some topics, and then eventually I decided to write this book. So it says, fast forward, at the time I wrote this, I'd been doing it for 18 months. It'd become a powerful part of my daily life, but the practice had evolved. So I added, that was a section 2 that focused on topics. I added another section, section 1 that focused on topics. I added a section 2 that addressed, you can call it a topic, the topic of how we feel overall in our lives. So in effect, it became one of the 2-minute pieces. You could select the overall feeling as one of the topics. Okay, and so, and I varied, wildly sometimes, meaning sometimes I would really get into some topic and go off the rail, and I might do it for the full 10 minutes or do it for 3 minutes or 4 minutes instead of 2 minutes. But in general, when it dinged, I went on. I just try to always keep it light. So then I'll read this last section. During the 18 months, of course, I still had problems arise or had days where I simply flat out crappy. On the tough days when it came to do my 10 minutes, I did not feel like doing the normal happy practicing. What I really wanted was relief that was not specifically addressed in the tools I'd been using. What I really wanted was some soothing of what was bothering me. So I went through my original set of tools and identified ones that were focused on soothing troubling topics. So thus was born section 3, the final section of the book, which is for soothing. On days where I just was feeling bad in general, or some problem was bothering me, then I would use the tools in that section. So that kind of gives you a general outline of the book, and I'll talk about it some more here in a moment, but I thought I would just stop and say, are there any questions at this point?
If you wouldn't mind, I'd love to hear like one of the topics and what you might have said.
Okay,
If
and
not too personal.
no,
Or
not at all.
you can get there.
No. It might be, okay, so then that's a great point, and I get into that as my next chapter is how to practice, and actually it's 2 chapters, more specifics about the actual process. So that's, of course, a great question. So the topics might be a I think of like 6 topics which are very common, and then many people have other things going on in their lives. But some of the 5 or 6 that are very common are like my body, my job, my primary relationship, or a relationship with any person. Could be a relationship with a child, a parent, sister, whatever. Dollars or abundance. It could be a project or a passion of yours as a topic, like you love to paint. And so for those 2 minutes, you would imagine yourself painting, or imagine that area of your life, and then I'll talk about what you'd be saying. And then another one might be, I actually added this one because I find it's really important to most people, and it's not often thought of as a topic, but basically how you are with people. Just socially, are you comfortable? Are you comfortable with yourself and therefore more comfortable with others? Just how relaxed are you in all kinds of different social situations? I find that's a good topic, and it doesn't directly address, unless someone really does have some problem. I find that's a good topic. And it might be simply a topic like, I want to be in a good mood when I get home from work every day. And so that could be a topic. And as you go through the very general words like feeling a happier spirit, that is an example, a happier spirit there. And that would be, okay, I'm imagining I'm getting home and I feel a happier spirit. So does that start you off in understanding?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I know
Okay.
you're going to go back to this, so I will listen.
Perfect. And then we're going to actually do about 3, 4, 5 small processes, and you'll see what we're doing, and and I'd love to hear your feedback, very honest feedback. So let me just go over a few key points about the approach that is actually, I think, beneficial. So as we know, as Abraham has told us many times, it's about attraction, 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 not pushing away what we don't want. And that is what this book is based on. It's emphasizing the feelings we want. Now, if we're feeling crappy, as Abraham often says about their own cards, and you go through these wisest words in the universe and you go, who wrote this crap? And you might very well say it about some of the things in this book too, if you're in a bad mood, as we would say about almost anything when we're in a bad mood. And that's cool. But it is about attraction, attraction, attraction. So this book really emphasizes where we want to go, not so much. You'll see a little bit of that, the soothing and the fixing of problems, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So first of all, it's about attraction. That's what this book is based on. And you can think of most affirmations are about attraction. Okay. Second point is 10 minutes of doing this practicing for many people would be 10 minutes of practicing that they may not have otherwise had that day. So it doesn't have to be the things in this book, of course not. It could be anything, many of the processes that Abraham has given us. But the idea is that for a small sort of discipline of 10 minutes, those are, for most people, 10 minutes of practicing that they would not have otherwise done that day. So that to me is a very big positive. And I do love Abraham's quote, and that is around this topic: the only discipline we need is the discipline to feel good. And I am such a believer in that. And I think, being that you all are Abraham followers, you probably would be too. Okay. Another advantage is there's 5 topics, or it could be one that you really love, and that's fine on any given day. But there's no particular focus on any one topic. So that really ratchets down the pressure. And that, to me, that's a very good thing. And then another advantage is, as you practice for 10 minutes a day and it doesn't do any good if you're just reading words, but if it's truly a better feeling, you are growing your set point in life. Imagine suddenly inserting into someone's life 10 minutes of practice that they had not been doing day after day after day. that raises your set point. And that's what I have found. So when I have off days or really off days, which still happen, I bounce back way more quickly. And a lot of it is due to my daily practice. I mean, it really is a cumulative, and I think you all know that, anybody who has done any type of practicing, it is a really amazing thing in life. And it's almost like one of the, if I could teach a young child to find a good feeling each day, and like Abraham says, to meditate each day, it really is so, so valuable. Okay. Another point is that when we want to practice, sometimes it's difficult to find things on which to practice. Like, okay, I'm going to sit down and am I going to do a book of positive aspects again? And that's good. I mean, it's obviously a good thing. But if I'm not going to do a book of positive aspects, or maybe I'm going to do my best items from the day, and those are all wonderful things. But what else might I do? So this book has dozens of different chapters that basically give you practice items. And that's, to me, is a very valuable thing. So you don't have to, honestly, one of the things about practicing is it's got to be easy and convenient. So open this book and you find some things that, obviously you have to relate to it, but it's nice to have some affirmations or some words that you can connect with. And that's important. But I made the words very general. So frequently, unless you're truly in a bad mood, a lot of times it doesn't tend to bring up a lot of resistance. Okay. Any comments before we do our first process? Okay. No need to, I just thought I'd throw it out there. Okay. I'm gonna go to page 25 and 26. Okay. So pick a topic in your own life, and again, job, work, you're feeling in your home, you're feeling while driving on I-4 or some expressway that you drive on every day, or the dollars in your life. But do not, I would suggest, as I've said, don't pick the worst topic in your life. Just pick a topic that is somewhere in the middle, or one of your better topics. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to do a meditation for about 3 minutes. And it's kind of an example of what you would be doing. Now I'm going to do 3 minutes. Typically you'd be doing 2, and then the bell would ding and you'd go on to the next topic or whatever. By the way, I have found in people's use of this book, their use is all over the map, meaning I'm giving you a 2x5 process, but you're standing in line at the bank, and if you have it on your Kindle, you can pull it up on your phone and you might do some visualizing while you're standing in line at the bank or the post office. So people use it in all kinds of different ways, but I'm going to present it as given in the book, but I'm very clear, use it in whatever way that feels good to you. Okay, so let me get my little beeper here. All right. So hopefully everybody's got a topic, and I'm just going to read now for about 3 minutes, and you can try to see if you can connect with some of the words, and just very, very light. Do your best, whatever. Okay. Okay. And we're going to go begin now. Simple joy. Good energy in the air. New happy thoughts. Bright colors all around this topic. More and more of a lightness here. More and more of an easy feeling here. Deeper and deeper wellness. So many good things. More and more of a comfortable journey. more and more moments of real playing. A free and easy and hearty laugh. Feelings of magical. Finding some great next steps. Solutions popping up. Feeling exciting progress. A deep joy at the center of it all that keeps growing. Feeling my alignment improving. Feeling more solid and secure. A deep growing confidence.
It appears that Rex is, okay, yeah. Muted.
Sorry, my connection dropped. I don't know how far you got on that, but hopefully most of the way.
Everybody stayed in that place
Oh.
almost just about a second before you came on, and I started to say that you put your Wi-Fi or your internet into meditation mode. That's a powerful meditation. And you probably are frozen at the moment.
We'll be back here in a second, I betcha. Yay.
Okay, how far did we get in that? Did I get through? It was about 3.5 minutes.
Most of I
Um,
reckon.
Yeah.
Confidence was the last one. Strong,
Okay,
growing confidence, something like that.
okay. Yeah, I was pretty close to being done. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I don't need feedback, but if anybody has any comments, I'm open to hear, and we'll do another one then after that.
I'll have a question since I've not read the book and I know Karen and Mark have, and it looks like Susan has it also. No. So when you're saying those words, I'm sort of honing in on the ones that feel applicable and using that as, oh yeah, I want to be comfortable. And you said something about colors or something. I said, yeah, I want my chakras to be in line. So is that the idea that you're after, or am I
Well, no,
reinterpreting?
you're right on track. Everybody's going to connect with this truly in their own way.
Yeah.
And so some of these words are going to connect and some won't. And if you have the actual paperback, you can cross out the phrases that you don't connect with and add your own.
Mhm.
And sometimes even when it may connect with one topic, but not with another, all that's fine. It's just a very general atmosphere. So it's interesting, it's really great to hear your feedback. I will tell you something that I sometimes do is, as I'm hearing words like that, I almost imagine what I'd be saying. For instance, these are maybe not, we'll talk about that later. These are not quite as applicable because these are so general. But I would say any way that you can connect and that brings some type of better feeling is worth it. And it doesn't matter if something doesn't, you just move on.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So the next one is, that was kind of as applying to a topic. This one is in section 2, which is about how you feel overall in your life. So this is sort of the topic of how you feel overall. And so I'm just gonna read these and you can just kind of feel them as we go. It's sort of a process, so you can close your eyes or not, and it's not lengthy, but I'll go ahead and read it. Okay, this is chapter 20, the many, many things in your favor. Starts out with a quote. And in that moment, I felt many helpful forces all around me working on my behalf. There are many things in your favor in life, and here are a few. The main force in this universe is one of towering well-being. There is a huge core tendency inside each of us to feel good. My inner being, the huge, purely positive part of me, is always with me, encouraging me and giving me clues for next steps. I have some wonderful tools that help me feel better. I've resolved many, many things in my life. I have shown myself time and again, I have the ability to resolve issues that come my way. And the next one is see any practicing you do of better feelings as more and more powerful and helpful forces in your life. And the final one is see your growing happiness as a more and more powerful happiness. Okay, that's the end of that one. So one of the key concepts here is I'd use the word cumulative. So if you do actually find better feelings, and even if they're small, over time, they'll grow. And it will be easier to latch on to these words and to feel them growing inside of you as you do this process over days and weeks. And so that is one of the most powerful concepts here is, again, 10 minutes a day, and you feel the growing better feelings. And some days it's much better than other days, but there is a true cumulative effect. Okay. Hold on, you're there. Okay. One of the things I thought I would share is the table of contents, and that will help you get a little bit better picture. So let me do this. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm actually going to go to Amazon. And that's probably the best way where you can actually see the table of contents more easily. Let's see here. Well, I have an alternative. We can't get it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, my internet connection is unstable. Hopefully I'll won't drop off here. We have had a lot of rain in this area, but still, I don't know what's going
We've
on.
had an awful lot of rain.
Okay. So here's the table. Okay. Okay, can you all see that okay? Okay. So the introduction, that's what I kind of shared with you. And then there's chapter 1, which is the power of this approach and some questions. Like, for instance, some of the questions might be, well, gee, just 10 minutes a day, how much good can that do? Or what good does it do to have 10 minutes of feeling better if I still don't have a job, or if I'm still fat, or whatever is going on in your life? And I address those very specifically in that question area, number 1. Number 2 is the guidelines about talking about the very specifics of, as you do the 10 minutes, which I'll talk about in a moment. But let's just look at the table of contents. Okay, so section 1 is the topic practicing, and you can see 3 through 18. So there's about 16 different ways to focus for a given topic. These first 10 or so are very general, like new energies and new world. That's about bringing new excitement and new experiences and new good feelings into a topic, because we get in a rut, and that's what chapter 12 talks about. And then 14 through 18, you can see some of the specific topics that we talked about, and we can take a look at that, like your body. I'll jump to that real quick. And again, you'll connect with some of the words, but not others. Like, here's a few of the words from my body. So much about my body feels good. Growing happy feelings in my body. Happy and healthy and strong. More and more, the cells in my body are working beautifully together. More and more, the cells in my body are in joyful, harmonious balance. My cells are feeling happier and happier. My body is my friend. And so that's about 1/10 of the words. So that's what that's about. And then there's one about relationships and work and so on. So that's what section 1. Section 2 is overall you practicing. And it starts out with the core wellness underlying all things. And, just that concept alone, to grasp it and to practice it, does well for our soul, so to speak. And then we talked about chapter 20, the many, many things in your favor. That was the last process. Number 21, more and more of the real you. It's about bringing the real you into the picture. And I'll let me mention a couple of things from there. For instance, the you with a swagger. Why don't we each have the you with a swagger in all the areas of our lives? And it talks about finding that feeling. It's not just make a topic better, but how can I kick ass? How can I really grab hold of that and really love it? There are people who love this topic. There are people who are masters in this topic. And it talks about that kind of feeling. Okay, then more of overall you practicing. Good feeling main statements in life, better and better habits in your life, happy images, better feelings in upcoming days. We're going to do this process called Simply here in a little bit. Imagine and you amplified. And you amplified is worth mentioning. It's sort of an exciting finish to this whole section about feeling better overall. And I'll just give you a couple of quotes from it. And in that moment, I felt so alive, so myself, so unlimited. And that's really who we are. Imagine the freshness of a baby's joy and excitement in looking out into the world. Now imagine this is you, and imagine all that is even from right here before you. As Dr. Seuss says, oh, the places you'll go. Okay, now the last section is a whole different section, and that's on soothing. So there are days where you got something going on in your life, no shock, and you know it's really hard to just get into it. So this offers 6 very specific paths of relief, and you've probably heard of all these, or maybe most of them. So soothing path 1, and notice how it's what I really try to do is organize the table of contents so it's very easy to use this book as a reference. So you've got topic practicing, you've got overall you practicing, and you've got soothing. Okay, so in the soothing, it's just kind of like, what do you do when you are feeling really crappy? And it just goes through like a series of steps. Notice when you're feeling off as early as possible. Stop and step away when feasible. Make feeling better your immediate priority. And number 4 of 7, be quiet, take no action, come to no conclusion. Oh, we can analyze when we're feeling crappy. And oh, do we have a falsely skewed point of view? And oh, does it not serve us to do our analyzing when we're feeling crappy? And so it talks about that type of thing. Number 5, take the hit, allowing yourself to feel whatever feelings are going on inside you. Number 6, set the topic completely aside and ask what better feeling next step is available to me right now. And then keep taking your next step and do the best you can. So it goes through that. And then at the end, it's got a whole series of very soothing, very, very soft words like, and this is literally the way the lengthy at the end of this section starts out, softer, lighter, letting go, a little bit at a time, a little better feeling, giving it some time, giving it as much time as it needs. Everything is going to be all right. I'm going to get through this. It will work out. It will cycle. I think I'll lower the stakes. I think I'm not going to take things quite so seriously. I think I'll let up the pressure I'm putting on myself. I think I'll just let things unfold. And that's the type of thing that goes on there. So that's soothing path 1. Soothing path 2 is setting the topic aside for a while. And how do we do that? So that's sort of a simple statement, set the topic aside, but it talks about things that help you do that when the topic is very present in your life. like one of the things you can do, like let's say there's some person in your life that's really irritating you, or you're, there's something going on. One of the things that talks about is about activating more of you. It's not so much that there's too much of them. It's that there's not enough of you, and that is connected you. And so that's the type of thing it talks about in Soothing Path number 2. Number 3, write downstream thoughts about the topic or do the focus wheel process and how to do those. Number 4, instead of focusing on the problem, just look directly at what feelings do I want here, and focus there. And I have an example there of what happened to me in my life when I did that on a certain day when something was bothering me. Soothing Path 5 is practice a soothing mantra for the topic, such as it'll work out. Something's very, very simple. It needs to be very general. And I've got a few pages of mantras that can help you when you're looking for, because you can't make sense of the topic. You just can't make sense of it. Positive aspects is just not working. So sometimes it really helps to have a mantra to just say, okay, for the next day, I'm just going to say these words, it'll work out. And then the last one is I give you a thorough example of something that happened to me where it combined many of the prior soothing paths. It was not for a major issue in my life, but it was for, and it was a step-by-step over days and weeks, and how it developed and then got resolved. So that's kind of a picture of the overall book. And I'll stop for a moment. I know I've been blabbing quite a bit. Anybody have any comments, questions right now?
I'd just like to say that, as always, when I revisit your book, Rex, I just feel like the inspiration that you got for putting these words together in these lists, they meet me right where I am. Wherever I am, it's like the lists, and I, of course, use these quite a bit. You just have this knack, and I've known this for quite a while, ever since you started sharing this with us before the book was published. You have a knack for putting together these resistance releasing phrases and sentences, and they are just extremely powerful. And I'm certainly experiencing that again tonight. And that's why your book is a go-to for me, because I can pick it up. And it's somehow, I don't even have to think about it. I just open it up, and wherever I am, it meets me, and the lists are perfect. They're absolutely perfect. And I can feel that resistance drop away, which is huge. It's hugely wonderful to release a little resistance or a lot of resistance. So thank you so much for that.
Very good.
So I guess I'm understanding the book a little bit better, and which is great. I love all these processes. So just to understand it a little bit better, the first thing you talked about was the 2 minutes for 5 different topics. So is that really the 10 minutes a day? And then these are sort of like enhancements on that?
These are the actual focus items for the 10 minutes.
Oh, so each one could be a 10-minute a day practice?
Well, and that's a great question, and I have not clarified that. So there was no way that I could predict how much time anybody would spend on any one item. So the streams of good feeling words, there may be about 30 or 40 phrases. Some people would take one phrase and might feel it for 20 seconds. Others might say it might be more of a stream, doing it every 5 seconds. So I didn't try to predict that. So basically, if I say, okay, I'm going to begin with my body. Okay, so I'm going to start with chapter 3, and I'm going to go in with my body for 2 minutes, and I might be 3 items into the 30 of chapter 3, or I might be do all 30 items in chapter 3. And then the ding goes off for me to get to the next topic. Then I just continue with the new topic wherever I'm at. Or if I'm a little bored with that, I might jump to chapter 4. It's totally up to you. This is truly a do-it-yourself, but the idea is just 2 minutes, and it's so flexible, because if I'm doing the 2 minutes on my body and I'm really feeling the strength of my body and the lightness of my body and the happiness of my body, I might stay there for 3, 4, 5 minutes or all 10 minutes. And there's no problem with that. And then you're done. So instead of doing 5 topics that day, I did 1. Other times, most days, I would say I just simply do the 2 minutes and then I go on to the next topic, because I just keep it really feeling light. And when I get to the next topic, actually, let me do this. Let me close this, because this is the preview and I don't think they're there, and I didn't really have any control over this. This is Amazon, but let me open my Kindle version. And that way you can see, I'll give you an example. Okay. So I'm going to go to section 1. And this is what we actually did the very first process. So I picked a topic, and these are the words I walked through. And so again, the 2 minutes may go off. You may do simple joy for 30 seconds, or you may do it for 5 seconds. And then as you're, and you are kind of reading through this as you're feeling your topic. And then you might be right here when the ding goes off and you go on to your next topic, which might be my work environment. And then I might do new sparks and new happy energies at work, new great ideas at work, in my mind as I'm doing my imagining, things opening up in exciting ways at work, my world growing bigger and bigger in this area of my life at work. And so you're going through, and then you go on to the next chapter. And then this one's about the feelings you want for this topic. This one's a little different, this chapter, because this is where you're actually listing the feelings you want. But I give an example. So this is a unique chapter in that you're actually doing a list of the feelings you want. But here, chapter 5, this is just a list of positive feelings. And so you may skip chapter 4, you go on here. And so, okay, now I'm on work and I'm feeling lightness. I'm feeling ease. I'm feeling easy. And you keep going. And then the 2 minutes goes up, and you're on magical. And then you get to another, now you're on the 4-minute mark, and you're thinking about your primary relationship. Feeling of I can do this, we can do this, a powerful thriving in your primary relationship, exciting worlds opening up in your primary relationship, more and more mastery, happy ending. And then you go on to chapter 6, which is the person you really are. And this is my growing knowing of the wellness in my relationship. It's working out well, deeply centered, more and more comfortable and relaxed in this topic, exuding joy. And then my choosing, initiating, leading, led and powered from within, a clear chooser, initiator, leader, competent, clear, on top of things, ahead of things. Anyway, that maybe gives you some general idea. Does that help?
Yeah, I guess so. From what I'm understanding, you can use any section of the book for your 10-minute practice.
That's exactly right. Section 1 is primarily about topics, and section 2, hold on, waiting for this to respond. Okay, section 2 is focused on the overall wellness of the universe and you. But it doesn't really matter. You could use these too. It's not meant to be very prescriptive. It's mainly based on how you feel. And what I've found is people use it in wildly different ways, and that's all good. It's all about what helps you feel better.
And where's the best place to buy it for you? I mean, I know there's different advantages to buying it directly from you or on Amazon, or
isn't that one of the nicest questions I've ever been asked? Actually, it's fine. Amazon is fine. I appreciate you asking that question, but Amazon and there's not even that much difference between the Kindle versus the paperback. So whatever works for you. Let me mention that for a moment. There's advantages of the Kindle and advantages of the paperback. The advantage of the Kindle is it's obviously digital. If you install Kindle on your phone, you can do your practicing literally from your phone wherever you are, which is good. But it's a fixed, there's no changing anything. So the advantage of the book is that you can scribble in it, because as I've done some of these processes, like here I've got soothing words, soothing path number 1. And I like what I wrote, but gosh, a year has passed since the book got published. So guess what? I have new thoughts, like we all do in the next year. So here, hold on. Yeah, maybe you can see it. You can see it. And I might even scribble through some of the words that I originally wrote because I don't connect to them anymore. So the advantage of the paperback is that it becomes your own working document. So I think there's true advantages to both. And so do whatever works for you. But thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Any other comments before we keep going here? And welcome to Jonathan/Julius. Glad to have you here. Okay. Let's see.
I may have a comment or question or turn it into whatever you want to, Rex, if I might.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where I'm at with this is, and of course, this is what, I started all this process while we were in our house, as you were creating the book. But for me, most of my life is pretty binary with topics in my life. There's topics that, like tennis, I can think of that and I can feel joy and excitement and exhilaration and energy and all that other stuff, no matter what. Mm-hmm. In fact, if I'm thinking about, and then, but all the different subjects in my life seem to be, I either do want to play with that right now, it feels good, or no, I don't want to play with this thing, it doesn't feel good. Right now, this subject isn't something that feels good right now. So I know when I don't feel good, I'm not doing that subject any good. And I think a lot of us do that, all us Abers especially. I think we have that, if it doesn't, don't spend time on something that doesn't feel good because feeling good is important. So we don't, when we're disciplined to be able to do that. I don't stay, and I'm very good at this, something that I've developed over the years. And with Karen's help, of course, we encourage, we remind each other, but I don't stay in a place on subjects that don't feel good very long at all. I go to tennis, or I go to Karen, or I go to whatever, my cats, pet cats. And that's what I do, but it's either yes or no. This book and these processes empower me to be able to take a subject that I've kind of put on the shelf because I just don't feel in a good place that I want to work on that right now. I want to let the universe play with it, or it's something, it's gonna be, something's gonna happen and something's gonna feel better. This allows me to delve into some things, and like you said, not maybe the dire thing. So this isn't it powerful, and a lot of the things, and I've said this before in our house a couple of years when we were doing this, your processes are pieces, and they're details and they're tools that are easy to use, and you get to individually use them, and that's you've got the idea from what Rex has said about the things in this book. I will give you an example. When you started this process, you said think of a subject. So I was thinking about tennis. I want to get better at tennis. I want to get more, play more tennis. This is what's going on in my life. And then within a very short period of time, as you were saying those phrases in that process, immediately I said, I want to think about my cousin Alan, whose wife just died 2 days ago. And I don't know, as I'm trying to figure out, when do I talk to him? When do I, whatever, how do I be there for him? And when is the right time? And I'm not sure, so I kind of put it off. So that's an example of a subject that for a day and a half, a day plus or whatever, since Karen told me about it, that his wife died, that I've mostly shelved. I said, okay, it's good. He probably needs time. There's kids and his family, and then I'll call him either Friday or Saturday and we'll talk. And I'm not sure what it's going to say, but I immediately was able to go there during that process. So I changed the subject from tennis to Alan and all of that whole thing. And those words fit perfectly.
That's great
So
to hear.
I felt relief, empowered, almost ready to call Alan right now.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, and if that makes sense to you, your processes have always done that for me, where instead of just having something I kind of just shelve and not worry about, let the universe play with it, but your processes allow me to go places that it feels okay to go there. So, okay, does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah. And
I think
go ahead, please. Sue, please add in. Yes.
what I love about what Mark said is to me, it's the perfect example of start in a place that doesn't have the resistance, and his body just slid right into where there is some, but the process made it easy. That was a great example.
Exactly.
So well spoken, Sue. That's exactly it. When you start with very general words, let me also use the word new. So a lot of the phrases in the book will trigger something new. We tend to have the same thoughts, a worrisome place for a topic, or even a not worrisome topic. We get in the same place over and over. And when you introduce new ideas and new phrases, like, wow, now I'm seeing something different there, and that really helps trigger these things. And it's a beautiful process. And thank you, Mark. That was exactly, exactly how it works.
And before we get off, before I let you guys, before you get tired of my voice, I wrote down the thing that you said about cumulative, and that's very important to me. Cumulative, and I like the word to add to that cumulative is residual. When you're doing a process, the progress that you make during that 10 minutes is not just you feel better for 10 minutes and then go back to whatever. There's a cumulative effect that has a residual cumulative effect. And that's so important here to remember. I know some people, it's the old thing about people used to come to our house and say, oh, wow, this 2 hours in your house, I really needed this as a break from life before I go back and go through whatever it is that is back into their normal life. And I used to use this word residual a lot to remind people that bring this with you. This is not a retreat that just lasts. It's not like a vacation and then you go to Disney and they have fun and then you go back to the drudgery of life. But think about the residual and cumulative effect of what you're doing. Every time you meditate, every time you do any of this work in this book, it stays with you. Things lighten up. The world gets better. A whole of everything is better. You're more connected to your inner being, and that's lasting. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. Thank you for that word, cumulative and cumulative. Which I put with the word residual.
Just to piggyback off that, once again, it's letting go of resistance. Letting go of resistance on an easy topic. Karen and I looked at each other and went, yeah, it's tennis. But letting go of resistance on that easy topic, and then the hard topic could come in and it didn't feel as overwhelming. I love your example because it really showed the power of this work and how Rex has made it gave it more clarity for me as the user. So I'm very grateful.
Good. Anybody else have anything else?
Oh, you're so spot on. I just love what every time I ever say anything, please just come on and just say, look, I've got to say something because you get me. Thank you.
Well, your other comment was your binary thing. Yeah, no, that's a guy thing. I am not binary.
Okay.
I did laugh at that one. There might be some women that are binary. I'm not saying it's just men and women, but I'm circles.
Yeah, I'm on or off this way or that way.
Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to section 3, and it's soothing path number 5, and it's called soothing path number 5, practice a soothing mantra for the topic. And I'm going to read you a couple stories, and you'll see the power. And these are very small, minor examples, so they're not like big things are going on in my life, but you'll see how a mantra can help, because sometimes logic just doesn't get us there. Like I said, you can think positive aspects or try to, but it's just not happening right now. And I just need something to somewhere to go besides these terrible thoughts I'm having or something. So here's the couple examples. A few years ago, I was in a 7-Eleven convenience store, and a man burst into the store announcing there was someone in the parking lot with a gun who was threatening to kill some guy. Wow. In processing this, I realized that the very best thing I could do was keep myself in the best feeling place I could. So I thought of the words happy ending and kept saying that to myself, happy ending, happy ending, happy ending. I also decided to stay in line and continue to check out. Then I chose to simply go to my car. That was, in fact, the anticlimactic ending of the whole experience. I never saw the man with the gun. From an action hero standpoint, it was a disappointing ending. From a I want to feel good standpoint, it was a fantastic ending. I had found a way just by repeating a soothing mantra to keep myself in a good feeling place, and I believe that helped me avoid interacting with the man. That was the first example. Second one is, another time I was on a guided bicycle tour in Idaho, and one day I had gone all out on my bike. When I finished, I could tell I was exhausted and dehydrated. As I rested and drank fluids, I became really concerned, wondering if I had pushed too hard. I was getting some relief from the rest and fluids, but I was still struggling. I happened to think of the sentence, "There is wellness inside my body." Ooh, I found that phrase so soothing. So for the next 20 to 30 minutes, while I rested and drank, I kept repeating those words to myself. There's wellness inside my body. There's wellness inside my body. There's wellness inside my body. Hearing the words over and over really soothed me, and I steadily kept feeling better and better, and I soon fully recovered. So this chapter then goes through a number of soothing phrases like that, and all the way from very, very soothing, like everything's going to be all right, to this will serve me. There are many things going well. The world is a good place. I'm doing many things right. Things have a way of working themselves out, don't they? And anyway, so that's an example of some specifics about the soothing. Okay, now we're going to do an exercise. If you want to actually write things down for only 3 minutes. So this is on page 44. And it's really a very simple exercise. It's one bullet item of 8 in the additional happy perspective. So chapter 11 is in the topic area, and it's not so much mantras or phrases like we've been talking about. This is more about, I've been in this world of this topic and I'm thinking the same thoughts over and over. I'm doing the best I can and I'm getting some relief, but can you give me some new perspectives to help me see it a little differently? And so there's eight different ways you can do that. So we're going to do one of them. So I want, if you could think of a topic, and again, I wouldn't use the worst topic in your life, but think of some topic. And it's a very simple exercise. And if you want to write it down, I'll do this process along with you. Okay. I'm going to do dollars or abundance, but do whatever you feel like. The topic is as follows. Imagine being born anew in this very day, born anew, and you can choose anything you want. For this topic, what feelings would you choose in this area of your life, regardless of current circumstance, from this day forward? So I'm going to jot down, you can just think of it, whatever you want, and we're going to do this for 2 or 3 minutes. Just pretend you were born anew. Set aside your current circumstances. What are the absolute best feelings that you can imagine that you would like in this topic area? So go ahead and begin. Okay, that's the end of that one. And I'll make a comment or two. So as I'm writing my list, I'll share you some of the things I wrote just so you can see. I mean, and what you wrote is perfect. So this is not anything anybody should be doing, but I just wanted to talk about a couple points. I wrote down things like expansive joy. This is around abundance. Expansive joy, ease, confident, excited, sure, the real me. And I was about to write down the word unlimited, but it didn't connect with me. So I didn't write it down. And that's important whether it be any words that you read in the book or words you think of, it's all about what connects with you, what actually feels good. And this is, you never want to force this. This is ease, light. And then what's funny is, and then what I do then as I'm writing this, I often write the same words more than once. And even Esther has talked about one day, one time in her life, she was thinking of the word fun. And she would take a piece of paper out and she'd write fun, 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 fun over and over and over. And that's great. She was able to connect with it. And I have found myself often doing that when I'm writing down feelings I want. Like, and fun happens to be one of those that sometimes I really connect with. And I say, oh, yes, that is exactly what I want for this topic. Fun, fun, fun. I'll write it over and over. And that's good. So again, just feel inside what feels right, what feels good right now, and write that down. So any comments at this point? And by the way, speaking of this, and I've had, speaking of Mark and your experience with not sure what to say to the person who had someone die. I have had a number of times where I really didn't know, I didn't quite have the right feeling before calling a person. And so if it was not like I have to call them today because of some deadline, if that wasn't the case, what I have found to be very effective is I take literally like 3 minutes like that and write down some feelings that I want to feel with them. And then I set it aside. It's not that I do this and then try to call them. I do this and set it aside. And I have found frequently that a day later, and I might even do it 2 or 3 times over a week. And then suddenly, boom, now's the time to call them. And I like almost run to the phone and it goes fantastically. And it's almost like you're creating the vibrational atmosphere. You're not trying to do some writing so you can then call it. You're creating the feeling inside of you that tends to have residual, as Mark says. Anyway, just wanted to share that. Any other comments right now?
I just wondered if I could read my list because I felt like a sort of a dynamic quality to this. I mean, I do write quite a bit in my spiritual processes of, I do quite a lot of journaling and that type of thing off and on. But anyway, this was about, and maybe somebody else would like to share theirs. But this really stimulated me to think about what it would be like if I was brand new in this life and how I would want to feel physically. So I wrote strong and vital, robust and healthy, up to any physical challenge, thriving, resilient and flexible, tough and sturdy, loving the feel of being physical, loving the way my body takes care of me, loving the feel of interacting freely with my environment through my arms, legs, and physical senses. So that was a good exercise. I really felt like you just get a sense sometimes, because I do write quite a lot. Sometimes I do just in my daily life, just kind of write words, to tell you the truth. But this and all that we've done tonight really has felt dynamic to me. Like I'm really moving something. I'm moving some energy in there. It's not just sitting there stagnant. It's moving.
I got to tell you, Karen, as you were reading your list, I'm imagining and feeling those things from my body.
Ooh, I love it.
I immediately said, yes, that's what I want. I really connected immediately. So that was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that's nifty.
Yeah. Anybody else? I also want to mention one more thing, that speaking of this fresh point of view, like born anew, I heard a fascinating story from Abraham. And I heard it in a seminar. the woman was in the hot seat, and she was talking. She had gotten divorced after 20 or 30 years, but she was in a very good place about it. And she said she often thinks of the genuinely good feeling things that happened that she felt with her former husband. And interestingly, Abraham kept stopping her. And what Abraham said is that it does not now actually serve you to do that, because you and the relationship that's in your vortex is so much more than what you had with your husband. And you are staying in that place, even though, yes, you are genuinely feeling good, it doesn't allow you to experience what's truly in your vortex, which is so much more. And it's kind of a keeping yourself in that old place. It's not a looking forward. You know, Abraham says your inner being never looks back, only looks forward. And that's a perfect example of that. I thought that was just so insightful. I thought that was quite interesting. Okay. And you know what? I think I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, and I'll be right back. And if anybody else wants to, and then we'll continue. I know we have about 45 minutes left. And
yeah, I'm going to brag about Rex. While you're gone, I'm going to brag about I think it was Karen and I's first time we went to an Abe seminar.
Oh.
And you were there.
You can tell me.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll brag about you. And Karen helped me with the details if I'm a little loose on the details. A few of us happened to go to an Abe seminar. It was either Karen and I's first, maybe together. Well, you're muted, but
yeah, it was my first, your second.
It's our first Abe meeting together, which is the only one that counts in my book. But anyway, and Rex was there, and a couple other people that we knew were there. And guess who was it was the very first person being called to the hot seat. The very first person called to the hot seat. Take a guess. Rex. So it didn't surprise me at all. It's just who he is. It's what he is. It's just he is an amazing individual that just radiates some interesting stuff: intelligence, love, whatever, whatever, just knowledge, and I wasn't surprised at all. And I do remember he asked a question about the stock market. It was something, I don't know, whatever, something to do with the stock market. It was an interesting question. It's like but I thought that's an indication of, it gives you a clue of who Rex is out of a whole, few, 100 people in a room. Abe picks him first. So anyway, I'm bragging about you. He's my friend, and I'm patting myself on the back for attracting Rex into my life. So it's all, I'm bragging about me because I attracted him into my life.
You can sit out there and go, I know him. He's my friend.
I know that guy. Yeah. I attracted Karen. I attracted Rex. Anyway,
that's fame by association. Well, I appreciate Rex being able to take all the knowledge, all the information we've been given through Esther and distill it into something that's so immediately usable. I really am appreciating that.
Good. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, he distilled it down.
Okay, I wanted to next share a little bit from chapter 12. And again, I will do about a minute or two. You can think of a topic. And this is maybe something that's been the same. They think of maybe a topic that's been in the same place for you for a while. And the name of the chapter is New Energies and New Worlds. So I'll just read it, and I'll kind of read it slowly, and probably just a minute or two. Okay, here it is. So think of a topic. Okay. And in that moment, quote, it starts out with a quote. And in that moment, I felt something open up and felt so excited. And here are some items. New possibilities opening up. New happy feelings opening up. Exciting new energies opening up. Exciting new worlds opening up. Excited about life, excited about the future, excited about this topic. Imagine having a new happy thought about the topic. Imagine finding a great next step for the topic. Imagine some new peak experiences you might have in a topic. And now imagine that there are no limits as to how good this topic can get. Okay. All right, that's the end of that particular process. Okay. I'm going to talk now a little bit about the last 12 months of my life. It's interesting. One of the last year or two, I've had quite a number of interesting experiences. And one of them that I don't know if any of you all can relate to is the Sarah books. So I've been involved with the reading about all the Abraham material since around 1995. And for 15, 20, 25 of those years, I knew about the Sarah books. And I just thought, well, that's a children's story. That's fine. That's good. But I never opened them up. And recently I ended up buying all three. And now I'm on my third go round. I read a few passages every evening. Sarah is this, I don't know, 10, 12-year-old or whatever, 10-year-old. And it's the story of a real human being and the thoughts she has in her head and worries about when she experiences something at school is exactly something every human on this planet experiences. Oh, I said the wrong thing to this person. That makes me feel a little crappy. Or that person said something nasty to me and that makes me feel crappy. Or something didn't go well with whatever I was trying to do, either at work or at school. And now what do I do? And in the book, Abraham is represented by this owl who's called Solomon. Oh, Solomon's been telling me to do that, but how do I really do that? And it's such a vibrant and real conversations they have. And it's so remarkable how I've applied that. So I just, anyway, highly recommend the Sarah books to anybody who has not read them.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
Do you realise something about the Sarah books? Although it is supposedly a work of fiction, a lot of it, some of it, not a lot of it, was actually taken from true life experiences of Jerry and Esther. The example of the falling in the river and you'll never drown.
Yeah.
Apparently, that actually happened to Esther.
Oh.
Unless I got my lines crossed on information. But it was something I was just reading that some of the stories were actually based around true life experiences. Just thought I'd share that.
Absolutely fascinating. I had no idea that was true. And that brings it even into a whole new light. Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. Okay, so I wanted to as Sarah's the book of, I was gonna say a real human being, or whether it be Sarah or Esther or Jerry, I wanted to talk a little bit about, go beyond the book and talk a little bit about my last year. And so it's interesting, again, these are just, real experiences. So the year I was writing the book was the year prior to COVID in 2000, let's see, that would be, well, let's see, I was writing it, no, I take that back. I was writing it primarily in the first year of COVID because I published it in November of last year. So and I lost my job immediately because of COVID. And there was really no work. I'm in IT and at that time. So that's when I really focused on the book. And I've been wanting to write a book for a long time. And I'd been putting a lot of pressure on myself to get this book out. And I had time, but I still put a lot of pressure on myself. And I think, I believe looking back, exactly because of what the pressure I was putting on myself, I ended up with some physical symptoms, some significant physical symptoms at the time. And they came about right around of all times when the book was published. And so this happens to be the very first presentation I've given on the book, and I am so ready for it. But I was going through some definitely difficult times. And I want to tell you a little bit about that because I think I learned some remarkable things. And if any of you all can relate to any of this, I thought I would share. So when I was going through this, it really felt scary and at times terrifying. And, maybe it's time for me to go, maybe my body's done. And I didn't know. And some of the words I used to soothe myself, I just want to talk about that a little bit, which is, I feel like some of these words may be helpful in someone going through something difficult. It helped me. I really didn't know what to do, meaning I knew the principles and I knew that I had a certain momentum, but I also absolutely believe the Abraham words and that you can get anywhere from anywhere to anywhere. But I frankly was in a pretty bad place. So the words I would use were, my inner being knows what to do. I'm just going to release myself to the guidance of my inner being. And this next phrase is something that I just kept saying over and over. I'm going to let go of the oars. Because when you become guarded, when you run away, you're actually giving attention to what you don't want. So I said, what would it be like to not be guarded? And it's just like, okay, if it's time for my body to go, so be it. I'm just going to let go of the oars. And the message I gave to the universe was, I want to stay. I'm absolutely clear that I want to stay. I don't know what'll happen, but I want to stay. But I kept letting go. I'm just going to keep letting go. And one of the people that inspired me, among others, but mainly this is one I thought of immediately, was Wilma Rudolph. And she was born literally a very poor Black person and one child of 22. And she was given some very dire, she got polio and was given some very dire predictions about whether she'd ever walk again and that type of thing. And I can relate to that because my father's first wife actually died of polio, but it was a terrible, terrible thing back in the 40s and 50s. And anyway, so one of the things I want to convey is I felt her and her inner being and others who have overcome physical difficulties. And there are, no matter what area you may be struggling in, there are so many masters, both physical, still alive, and non-physical, who are there providing you guidance even in this very moment. And it's a matter, all you have to do is tune in. They're there right now. And that just encouraged me. And I often felt that guidance and I tried to tune into it. And she ended up becoming a 3-time gold medalist in the 1960 Olympics, I think. And it's just such a stunning story. That's and so so that also triggered in me what I call the wow side of contrast. So if you're going through contrast, it's fascinating and encouraging and exciting to think that there's an exactly equal positive side. So if you're going through something really brutal, oh, the good side is just beyond words. There's a wow side of contrast. And I feel that from my body. And I'm happy to say I'm in a really good place now. But that is something that, and that's the story of Wilma Rudolph. She had a wow side of her contrast. And the quote from her is, her doctors told her she would never walk again. And my mother told me that I would. And I believe my mother. And it's just an amazing, and we had that ability. So no matter what someone's going through, there's the wow side, there's the master side, and any little bits know that they're there. And it's just a matter of relaxing more and being less guarded and letting go of the yours and listening to what they might be saying. And it's a very step-by-step. I mean, this is not like overnight you're going to get better. I mean, that's just typically not the way it happens. I had too much momentum going. But week by week, month by month, I got better. So I wanted to also talk about a few different things that happened during this time that I felt was very helpful for me now and probably will be forever. One of the things I would say is unguarded, to be unguarded in life. Remember, think about what guarded means. It's saying, oh, I want to be careful about that. Don't get near me. Guess what? I'm thinking about that. So unguarded is actually, to be guarded is actually, it's something we need to be. We're scared. And if there's as Abraham says, if there's a bear in the bush, or you think there's a boogeyman in the bush, get away from the bush. You're right. Do it. But once we get back into our right mind and you can move towards being unguarded, it's a really good thing. Get your core right and we're going to talk about that in a moment, and let whatever happens else happen. So one of the things I would say is unguarded and no rules. And it really struck me, no rules. We have these words that we say in our brains about, well, I can be happy after this, like, I can go back to work if once I'm done writing my book, or I can move into this phase of my life once blah, 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 or I can be happy once blah, 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 all these words. So I said, okay, universe, I'm going to really focus on the main feelings I want. I'm going to try to be unguarded and no rules. Maybe I've been saying bad words. No rules, no more, and it's not like I can do it overnight, but I'm telling you, more and more, I'm going to let go of some of my words, just in general. I'm going to let go. So I just wanted to mention that, and we'll talk about that more in a moment, but wanted to mention a couple other things. So I have not been a person who goes to doctors much my whole life, which is, made it even more of a shock. But I had this great example a number of months ago. I had a doctor appointment on Monday and an appointment with a different doctor on Tuesday. So I was particularly nervous about my Monday appointment. And so I really prepaved. I felt these, and again, I know I don't try to predict test results. I don't say I want this test result from that visit. I don't want to say, I try to say the perfect things. I just want a general good feeling. So I imagined just a general good feeling there, a general good feeling walking out. And I did a good job. I really found some good feelings. And it turned out so well. It was just fantastic. The power of pre-practicing general feelings. Now, there's a second part of that story. So on Tuesday, when I went into the doctor, I hadn't done a darn bit of pre-paving. And it was a really crappy visit. And I thought, holy cow, I've got beautiful law of attraction going here. I had pre-paved Monday. completely ignored Tuesday, and it was so crap. And I go, I'm not doing that again. Why not? These are all, let me just prepay pretty much anything significant going on. And it was just such a beautiful black and white picture of that. So anyway, for whatever that's worth, I thought I would share that. Okay. Another thing I learned, and actually Karen was a help here, even though she doesn't know it. So my personality, the person I am and have become, I think I'm pretty good at saying soothing things to my friends, like, oh, you did a good job there and blah, blah, blah. But I realized that I was sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes not in the habit of saying those same things to myself. Things like, and there's real things we can do for ourselves. Like, I'm doing so many things right, and here are some of them, and make a list. That can actually be uplifting. Being a friend to yourself, like just simply being a friend to yourself. And one of the things I wanted to mention about how Karen's helped me is I've heard the word silly me, and I think I've maybe even heard Karen mention it, or she lives it, but she's able to laugh at herself. And she's such a wonderful teacher that way. And I didn't have that habit. I really didn't laugh. When I screwed up, I was upset, mad at myself. And I've often heard her laugh at something ridiculous she did.
I have many opportunities.
What happens very often, Karen. But anyway, and so I'm starting to use the word silly me, and it's just lighter. Why not be lighter in life? And anyway, so that was part of my process. Also, I wanted to share that. Anybody else have any comments at this point? I don't want to be the only one talking. And it's okay if I am, but we'll proceed. But I just wanted to open it up. Okay. So another thing I learned, I had said this, but I really learned to live it, is when you're making a change in an area where you've got some momentum going, it's still going to be crappy in various ways for a while. It's not going to be overnight and now it's better. You've got some momentum going, so you got some thought habits, and you'll keep returning them even as you're changing them. And so you're still going to very likely have some events that don't go your way, or something, or it's even if something said, or you're just in a bad mood, or you're scared. And so what I've been saying in times like that, besides letting go of the oars, is, oh, that's just some leftover resistance. And that really helps when you think of areas that have bigger resistance that you're shifting. There is some leftover. I mean, it's not like you're going to shift it overnight. So when crappy things happen, when you're in the process, and being in the process and making some positive for better thoughts, but for a while, you're going to get some crappy stuff, thoughts or events. And it's helpful to have that concept. You got some momentum, there's leftover resistance, and then you can keep moving forward. Okay, so one of the things I did in this process is I put some messages on my phone that would appear every day. And not all these were on my phone, but these were thoughts I sometimes thought of. And I'll just read a few of these for whatever they're worth for you. There is great wellness in my body. And you heard me maybe mention that before. Another is, there is way more wellness in my body than otherwise. That one I really like, because I really felt that. Even in spite of the problems, there is way more wellness in my body than otherwise. And the next one, and this applies to your body or to anything. And this comes up on my phone every night, and I just love this next one. Physical reality is a lot more flexible than we realize. That one is, we get stuck in these facts. We get stuck in the current what is. Physical reality is a lot more flexible than we realize. And to keep getting that and getting our brain in that. And who knows that I don't, you maybe all heard the quote that, Abraham was asked, well, if we can do anything, why don't we grow limbs? If we need a new limb. And they said, because you don't believe it's possible. And I think one day we're going to. Now, I don't know if it's going to be 20 years or 100 years or what, but physical reality is a lot more flexible than we realize. Another was, it will return easily to you. That pops up on my phone. I have had good health. It will return easily to you. And I'm feeling it now more and more. And then my last one here is, this one is really, really worth thinking about. There are, and this is a thought I had myself, that there are no forces ever opposing us. There is simply that upon which we focus. There are no forces ever opposing us. There is simply that upon which we focus. And to me, that means if I can just change my focus, there's nothing actually in my way. There's nothing opposing me. It's so easy to feel, oh, these physical obstacles, but there's nothing opposing us if I can just focus on what I want. Okay. Let's see, how are we doing time-wise? Okay, we've got a little more time. Any comments? I know I've got a few more things, but happy to hear from anybody. Okay. Talking about, okay, here's another learning. The learning is, when you're shifting a topic in your life, keep practicing. So I have found that, especially the bigger topics, as you do some process and you do get some positive feelings, you go, oh, that feels a little better. Okay. And then the next week, oh, that feels a little better. And you're doing some processes. And then, oh, wow, I'm starting to get a little momentum. That feels good. But it's really important, until your new feelings are really, really sure, stable, like your true default feelings, to keep practicing. So here's a small example of it. I don't know if I heard this one live in the seminar or heard Abraham talking about it, but basically it was a story of a woman who, her husband was very sick, and he was in the hospital. And when he went in the hospital, she was basically with him every day in the hospital. And she wisely realized, of all times in her life, this was the time where she really had to practice, to focus. And so while she was with her husband in the hospital, she really practiced on her better feelings. And he started to recover, and he got better. And then she was telling Abraham, and then I stopped practicing. And one day I realized how crappy I was feeling. And that can easily happen. I have experienced that, where I start to feel better, and it's such relief. And then you kind of, oh, now I can get on with my life. And you know what? It's not really at a deep level, a deep, sure, stable. You have some thought habits. And until, for the bigger topics, the bigger resistance topics, keep that practicing, especially keep it general, because you don't want to, we've done the positive aspects, blah, blah, blah. But if you can find that new energy and keep practicing, don't be the woman in the hospital who really did successfully focus. The husband got better. And then one day, a few weeks later, she was feeling really crappy. And it's like, oh my God, I stopped all my practicing. So anyway. Oh, okay, here's another one. So one day, in the midst of my physical issues, I was thinking about my last year, the year in which I wrote the book. A year of great excitement and joy for me, because as I was writing the book, oh boy, it was so joyous. But I had this other thing going on, where the pressure I was putting on myself. And one of the things, I actually had this thought, if I had to do it over again, I mean, here I am in the middle of these physical problems, even to the point of, who knows what'll happen. Did I do the right thing? Would I do it over? And I felt so clearly it was the right thing to do. Writing this book, in spite of this, whatever was going on with me, that I didn't know where it was going to end up, but I had such clarity. So I had absolutely no regrets. In other words, I was feeling rightness rather than wrongness. And in our journeys, oh, can we feel like we screwed up or we're doing something wrong or we did something wrong? And it was so encouraging to feel the rightness of what I had done, the moving forward in my life of what I had done. And so I've added that to my practicing mix. I don't think it's in the book, but it's about emphasizing the rightness of your life, the rightness of your journey, the rightness of this day versus its wrongness. I've heard Abraham say there's no regression ever. And I resonated with that. And so that means that there is a real rightness. And for what I was going through, that was like, whoa, that really helps me. That gives me a lot of comfort. There is a real rightness in what I chose. And anyway, wanted to share that. Okay. I know I'm just going one thing after another, but I wrote all this down before our meeting, so hopefully you'll bear with me. So I'm going to tell you another story. So this is in the middle of this, I had gotten unemployed because of COVID. That was fine. And fortunately that we had, we had some money, so we're fine. And I'm going to go back to work as soon as I can. I did go back to work last April, but anyway. So that's a whole nother experience. I won't go into the details of that, but I ended up working for 5 months and then I ended up leaving that job, even though it was a fantastic experience. So I have absolutely no regrets. And I felt rightness in going there, even though I left because of there are a lot of problems, but that's all fine. So in the last 3 months, I've been looking for my next job. I'm in IT. And as I'm learning, I'm learning all these different things. And it's like one of the greatest learning times of my life, these last 3 to 12 months. I mean, it's just absolutely alive with learning and growing the joy in my life. And it's given me some tools that I'm just going to carry with me, some amazing tools. And I want to share a few of these. So I had some big, oh my God, that's so much better. And I felt almost a relief and a release. Like one of the things I thought of is, oh, I need to go figure out these things before I can go back to work. Well, that's not true. You don't have to do that. Again, it's the words, the rules we use. You can write a book and work, or you can do this and work, and you can do this and have a good time. So, I think I'd had that realization that, letting go of the rules and I can do what I want when I want, so to speak. And so I said, okay, I think I'm ready now to find a job. Typically, I have not had problems finding a job, and I was having a problem, but I didn't know if it was really the universe saying it's not time yet, or if I had something stuck in my craw. But that's fine. That's how it goes, and that's all good. But feeling my way through it, and I felt a real relief and release. I said, I am so now ready to go work. The next morning, very next morning, I got a text, and I hadn't really found a lot of jobs, and it was the perfect job. And it's like, oh my God, this is the job I want. Lights going off, no doubt, goosebumps, etc. So I almost like ran in the other room and applied. By noon, I heard from them. And it seemed like a really good fit. And she said, well, and this is a recruiter who was recruiting for this company. And she said, well, let me have my boss talk to you. So that same day, now all this in the same day, it was a Friday, I applied Friday morning, heard from this person around noon, and talked with her boss around 3. Okay, they're going to submit me to the company. Well, I never heard from them again. So, what the heck's going on? And I learned one of the greatest lessons of my life that will be with me probably, who knows, and I'm going to use the word unconditional. Specifically about feeling good unconditionally. And it was so right at me. And it was like, and that's exactly what I got out of this experience. This job was going to make things so much better in my life. I mean, not that things were bad, but it was this perfect job. And it really got me to thinking about the word unconditional. And that is something now that is so part of what I've been thinking about for the last month. And it's in everything I do, like just thinking of some core feelings and not trying to manipulate circumstances, and I will attract what is good to me. So I also want to clarify, there was no problem with getting excited about the job and thinking it's the perfect job and thinking it was going to happen. It just didn't. But what I got out of it is a very direct learning about joy, about an expansion into joy that was just astounding, to be honest. So here, let me share a few of these things about the word unconditional. It's like the core of who I am. It's about, and I've talked about being guarded. It's about being less guarded or unguarded. And so here are some of the main things I think about is like my default feeling besides joy is one of core confidence. So core confidence, for some reason, those words really are significant to me. And so like when something new comes up, in the past, I haven't always had what I would call core confidence, but now more and more I do. And now it's almost like these feelings. So core confidence is one of them. Another is waking up feeling super excited about life and about this day. And those are some unconditional. And it's not based, I don't think about having a great schedule for the day so that I can feel excited. I just practice the feeling of feeling super excited about life when I wake up. And today I have a lot on my schedule. Tomorrow I have nothing on my schedule. But guess what? And you know what? There's something really to this, because think of the 5-year-old, think of the 3-year-old. Those kids are connected to excitement. And when you're going to go somewhere, don't walk, run, always run. You know, anybody who's had experience with little kids, it is just astounding and exciting. And this is who we are. It is. So the idea of feeling excited about life and just focusing on that feeling, not based on circumstances. Oh, I got lots of great projects. Oh, that's good. You can practice that too. But guess what? I'm excited about life like a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old. I am just excited about life. And that's a wonderful thing to practice on a daily basis. Another is kicking ass. I do so competent kicking ass, or whatever words you want to use. I can just kill it when in the things I do. I don't even need to be specific. Again, it's better. And if you couch all of these in the whole context of unconditional, and that is your main goal, your main intention, it changes the feeling. You just start moving and you're practicing towards being unconditional. And even then, as you do this more and more, I have found almost like my topics dropping away. Because if I'm feeling good, if I'm feeling excited every morning, I don't think I'm worrying too much about these topics in my life. I'm sure worrying about them less. If I'm feeling core confidence, and I could be doing something that I've never done before, or I could be doing something I'm an expert at. Doesn't matter. I've got that core confidence, and it is a great feeling. And when you make it not dependent on what you're doing, instead of saying, oh, I'm finding so many things I can do well, which is good to practice too, but having the whole approach of the unconditional is so exciting, And it really, really, I found it very deeply changing and improving and transforming. So speaking of that, we're going to do one more process, and it's related to this unconditional, and it's in the book on page 99. This will be the last process. And it's called Simply. So it's about 3 minutes. And it's about feeling good in general. So no need to pick a topic. And we're going to do that, and you can visualize as you like. Okay, here it is. Starts out with a quote. And in that moment, I just felt really good. And then here's the chapter. It doesn't matter what's happening around me. It doesn't matter what the current physical details are. It doesn't matter what others are saying or choosing. It doesn't matter what my schedule for the day is. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is or what time it is. None of this external stuff matters because I am simply feeling better and better. I am simply feeling better and better. My days are becoming happier and happier. I'm finding better and better flow in my days. I am becoming more and more connected to source energy. I am simply feeling more and more joyful in my days. The cells in my body are getting healthier and healthier. The cells in my body are having more and more fun. The cells in my body are feeling more and more joy. The cells in my body are simply feeling better and better. I am finding a way to move towards more things in my life. I am feeling the growing good energy of these things. And I can feel its effect. So many things in my life are moving forward. I am simply feeling more and more positive energy in my life. My whole being is growing bigger and bigger. My power is growing and growing. I can feel my growing mojo in the things I do. I am simply feeling more powerful in everything that I do. I am so satisfied in many places in my life. I am having more and more fun in my life. I am simply getting more and more excited about life. And that's the end of that process. And I think that's kind of, let me see if I have anything else. By the way, my website, which is fairly rudimentary at this point, but hopefully will grow, is called Tools for Feeling Better. So it's www.toolsforfeelingbetter.com, all one word. And feel free to stop by. But again, it's pretty basic right now, but hopefully you'll be adding additional items there. And that's pretty much, I don't know if anybody else had any other comments, but I think I'm done.
I have a comment. I enjoyed all of this. I thought it was super interesting. You used the word rules, and I don't think of it as rules, but what I do is tell myself a story. And I realized that that's where my rule comes from. I told myself a story that every day at this time I have to do this. And see, it's really the same thing. So I wanted to throw that in here in case somebody else says, well, I don't have rules, but we still make up a story, and that looks just the same.
Yes.
Unless we make up a story using these kind of words,
Right.
then yeah.
Good story. Yeah. Absolutely.
Story. Yeah.
Good insight. Very good insight, Sue.
I realized that my body feels good. Like you said, almost the entirety of my body feels good. And I'm holding on to something in my shoulders and neck and arms. Like I notice frequently that I have to, release, let go of them and let them soften. So I really like, and I'm going to use thank you for the reminder of letting go of the oars. let go of the oars. I don't have to steer this ship.
Right. Beautiful.
Oh, it may interest you to know, because I have just Googled it and everything. If you actually type in tools for feeling better in Google, Rex's is the first site that comes up.
Oh,
Oh,
I didn't even know
wow.
that. That's great to hear. Thank you. I didn't even know that. Thank you.
That's in case you're too lazy to type all of it like www dot everything. So
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. This has been a delight. I'm going to check off now, but thank you. I really
Thank you,
enjoyed it.
Sue.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Sue.
Really good to see all of you. Always a pleasure.
Sue. And we'll have
Good to
you
see you, Sue.
one of these days.
One of these days. I'm not
Yes.
quite ready,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm.
Hey, and
it's in
it'll
my-
be perfect timing.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I wanted to tell you guys, in case you didn't know, that Sue was on the recent cruise. Let's see, it was the coastal cruise, the Abraham coastal cruise. They did Alaska, and then they did up and down the coast from California down San Diego. Well, yeah, it's all California. But anyway, yeah. So I want her to share that experience with us, and that's what I was referring to. And she's planning on doing that another Friday night. Well, it was fantastic, Rex. That was absolutely, utterly amazing. I just feel like I got a great big shot, a vibrational shot in the arm in a positive way, not a negative, hurtful way, a wonderful way. And wow, I mean, it was just all so good. And then you're sharing, because we hadn't talked with you guys that much. And so we didn't know a lot of what was happening with you, other than you've updated me a little bit in an email, but that's really something that's so interesting and powerful, and how you had, it was sort of the best of times and the worst of times when, you're so happy to have your book finished and out there. And yet you had this other stuff going on with, with the contrast of physical challenge.
And
And
I'll tell you, Karen, from where I'm at now, the only words I use is the best of times. I feel that. I feel that.
love it.
I mean, believe me, there were times where I couldn't have come anywhere close to that, and I was truly terrified. But now, it was the best of times.
Love it. I love that
Yeah.
so much. Well, do you feel like that contrast is kind of in the category that Abraham refers to from time to time, about inner being kind of just sort of sets that up, because they know that by going through that, we're actually going to end up more of where we want to be? I mean, because I always find that a bit curious, and they always get my attention when they say that, that inner being kind of orchestrated that, helped you to orchestrate it. They don't orchestrate anything for us, but they kind of guided. It was the path of least resistance.
I really believe in the pointing to contrast, that we can be guided to contrast. I absolutely believe that. So I don't know that I don't know about this experience, and as far as that goes, but I know I have asked the universe for, like, I have something stuck in my craw, and sometimes the best path for us is to show you even ever more that directly, almost like it hurts even more. Oh, it's like, oh my God, that's what it is. And then you can come out of it. I have found that to be so true at times in my life.
I'm going to put in a pennyworth here, and it's always this thing, and Karen knows I'm going to mention it, about contrast. Now, anybody, well, not just new to Abraham or anything, people who have been years into Abraham, they hear the word contrast and they think of all that bad stuff. Now, where I am in my journey, I hear the word contrast. Abraham says it so much, but in an interview with Wayne Dyer, when Wayne asked Abraham, what do you mean by contrast? The simple answer was variety. If something good happens, more of this, please. If something what we would call bad happens, okay, what is it I want instead of this? That's it, you know. People hear the word contrast and think, oh, it's all the bad things. It's just a variety of your experiences. And to me, people say good experience, bad experience. I just say experience. If it's bad, it can show you what you want instead of. If it's good, more of this, please. So, you know, people to this present day hear the word contrast said by Abraham and think it's a bad word. And I'm, you know, I've had to say to a few people, not at all, not at all. It is just variety. I just put my pennyworth in whilst we're still recording there.
Yep. I like that. Very good.
Speaking of that, everybody that can unmute, you take a moment and say thank you, Rex, because I'm going to stop the recording. Don't anybody go away. I just want to stop the recording first. So thank you, Rex, for coming on and sharing your book and your last year and your wisdom and your presence. That's, you know, always got me agog. You're like you're a very close friend, but you're like one of my heroes too. So thank you for coming on and sharing all of that with some of my other friends, our other friends. Anybody else got anything to say before I stop the recording? But don't go away, Susan.
Just want to say thank you. This was wonderful. I appreciate you.
You bet.
Very cool.
Rochelle,
gonna
would you
stop.
have, maybe Rochelle would have something?
Yes, yes. I didn't yet learn how you can type in a comment. So orally, first of all, I'm quite new, but I really appreciated the notion of practicing before, like you write something down, for instance, and you don't beeline to the phone. It just sets up a rehearsal. I have never in my life even thought of that. And the notion of using that for a future doctor's appointment or other could be crucial, because I have a priori assumptions that my dentist, there's issues. Well, I have to pre-rehearse it in my mind, maybe write down. That was a nugget that was unbelievable. I do want to get your book. And because I need tools for happiness, that's all I want to say. So this was a phenomenal meeting for me. And of course, I'm very, very grateful to Mark and to Karen and to everyone, and for Susan commenting so much, because I'm just so grateful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, my dear.
Awesome.
All I want
Okay.
to say is thank you, Rex. Unconditional love, unconditional appreciation to you.
The same to you. Thank you. Same to you.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. Don't anybody go away unless you have to. Okay. Cool. We're still on Facebook Live, and I guess it's 10 o'clock, which is perfect timing to end the meeting. If Rex, if you got anything else, or Karen, you two are the stars of the show here.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks everybody for showing up, and this is perfect. We're ending at 10 o'clock like we promised ourselves. That's awesome.
Have a great day. Thank you all.
We will see you next week.
Rex,
All right,
bet.
much
thanks, Rex.
appreciated.
You bet. Thank you.
Tutty bye, everybody. Tutty bye.
Bye.
Thank you.